In the peaceful community of Igbogbo stood a beautiful two-story building with 6 flats. The residents were known for their cooperation and organization. They lived in harmony. They took pride in their home, painting and maintaining it meticulously. The residents were Mom and Dad Jollof, Grandma Peaceful, Oga Emeka and his wife, aka Bulldozer, Oga Malam, Mr. Taiwo and his family, and Mommy Mama. Their lives intertwined, forming a supportive network. One day, Oga Malam moved to his hometown in the north, leaving his flat vacant. Soon, Mrs. Lewis, a stunning light-skinned woman with a sleek black Toyota, moved in. She purchased the apartment. Initially, she seemed friendly, but her true nature soon revealed itself. At the monthly meeting where Mrs. Lewis was officially introduced, Mrs. Lewis sparked controversy.
This gathering seems unnecessary. I believe we all are busy people here.
The neighbors were too stunned to speak, but Mr. Emeka, the bulldozer himself, always ready for action.
Most of the meetings we have is virtual, mostly on the WhatsApp platform. Madam, today na Saturday. Person wey work from Monday to Friday must stress. Having meeting no mean say we jobless. Na for development of this building.
Even if you call me for another meeting, I'm sorry. I don't have time. Plus, doctor said I should sleep a lot because I have high blood pressure.
After the agenda of the meeting was met, everyone dispersed to their apartment, all of them wondering the kind of human Mrs. Lewis is. As time passed, Mrs. Lewis' behavior raised eyebrows. It was on a Saturday afternoon when little children in the community were playing outdoors, close to where Mrs. Lewis parked her car. Some children rolling tires, some playing police and thief, some racing and some playing football. Mrs. Lewis screamed out of her window.
These children, don't you have a home? Can't you play in your house? Which responsible parents would even leave their children roaming about and running around like this? This illiterate and how they raise kids. It baffles me. Hey, you. Yes, you. You, I'm talking to you. You black boy like charcoal with your eyes like frog. Move away from my car this minute. Don't stress me, oh. Don't stress me. I can't shout, oh. I have high BP. Destructive children. If anything happens to my car, I would have your parents arrested.
All the kids ran away as if they saw a monster. They moved to the next building, which was far from where she parked her car. Oga Emeka lives directly opposite her, so he heard everything loud and clear. And Oga Emeka said,
E be like say we don't enter am o. This woman na fire for fire o. She get BP and she dey scream like this.
God dey create o. Na everyday this woman dey show her true color. Now wow, a serious wahala o.
On a Sunday morning, Mommy Mama was heading to church and she entered into her car and she realized that her car battery was down. So she called Mr. Taiwo, who lives opposite her flat, to help her charge her car battery with ease. And immediately Mr. Taiwo came down because they are so cordial and always help one another. Because Mommy Mama usually parks behind Mrs. Lewis, on that day, Mrs. Lewis was also heading to church. When she came down, she was already frowning and angry, and she said,
But Mommy Mama, what is all this? This is a Sunday morning. I need to get to church on time.
I am so sorry, ma. I had no idea my battery car was down. I am so sorry.
But battery is not so expensive. Get a new battery. All this delay, I don't appreciate it.
Madam, you know how cars are. In no time we will be done.
Mrs. Lewis eased. It didn't even take up to 3 minutes and Mommy Mama moved her car so she can drive her car. Mrs. Lewis still kept on grumbling and complaining as she was driving. Mr. Taiwo signed to Mommy Mama to ignore her. Mrs. Lewis got back from church on that day and met a strange car parked at her parking spot. Hell let loose on this day. It was obvious that it was a guest that parked there. Mrs. Lewis already started banging at everyone's door, one after the other, and screaming,
Who parked on my spot? Who parked on my spot? This is supposed to be my spot.
She got to Oga Emeka's door and kept on knocking like she wanted to bring down the door. Oga Emeka was ready for her on that day.
Waiting, madam, be calming down.
The person that parked in my spot is not here. Some people need to learn courtesy, seriously.
So what if the person is here? Yes, the person is here. And so, this woman, now only you dey stay for this building? Why you wahala too much like this?
I'm not surprised that the guest came to visit you. A mannerless person will be friends with an illiterate.
Mrs. Lewis, I be waiting then they call you. No carry that your long mouth like it to reach my side though. I dey see the way you dey talk to others like say you be the landlord for a year. As you take buy your flat, na so I take buy my own flat too. This woman, you be troublesome woman. Person wey see you go think say you don't see better person. You no go know say na terror you be.
I don't want to shout this hot afternoon. My doctor said I shouldn't stress myself
because of your blood pressure, abi? We know say you get blood pressure. No be only you go first get blood pressure. Person wey no get blood pressure sef no shout reach you. Yeye woman, you reach here, e never reach 2 months. You don fight almost everybody. That your long mouth like trumpet go put you for trouble. Very rude yeye woman. Yeye dey smell.
Oga Emeka's wife stepped in.
My husband, calm down.
Immediately, Oga Emeka slammed the door and he opened the door immediately again. Mr. Emeka still angry and talking and shouting.
You lucky say you quick remove that your hand. You fall lose like 3 fingers. I go just turn you to me to put fast. You no go ever forget me. You go know say that your craze. You no suppose let them reach my side. You think say them they call me bulldozer for no reason. I go crush you with my mouth. You hear the smell. You hear woman.
Since Mrs. Lewis has been staying in that apartment, family members hardly come to see her. All her kids are grown up. They come once in a while and it's always briefly. Even during the holidays, when the other neighbors welcome their grandchildren to come for the holidays, none of her grandkids comes for holidays at her place because she is not accommodating. Mrs. Lewis obviously doesn't like peace and she complains about any and everything. On this day, Mrs. Lewis came from her apartment to complain about Mommy Mama.
Mommy Mama, your sewing machine is always disturbing me. I can't sleep. The doctor said I should be sleeping because of my high blood pressure.
Mommy Mama, being a peaceful person, she apologized. Mommy Mama sells exotic ashoke, mostly for weddings, ashoebi, bride and groom attire. Her apartment is like a mini fashion store filled with exquisite ashoke. She decided to bring her business home because of old age and her own comfort, because she stays at the last floor. Mommy Mama is such a loving, calm and peaceful woman. Mrs. Lewis, being the troublesome type, has taken advantage of Mommy Mama's calmness because she keeps complaining every now and then. On this particular day, I guess Mommy Mama was tired of her complaints and she gave her hot.
Mommy Mama, whenever you people walk, it's like you people are walking on my head. I can't sleep. Maybe your tilers didn't fix your towels well. And it might be cheap towels anyways.
Cheap towels? Cheap towels? That's an insult, you know, Mrs. Lewis. I believe I have been patient enough for you. You're always complaining, not just complaining, always passing rude comments. I will put an end to this today. Do you know, I've been quiet all this while. I am not silly or stupid, but I choose to be quiet. I'm not surprised. I know your story. No wonder you had to escape through the window from your late husband's house. You can't have this kind of attitude and they won't chase you with gun. You don't deserve to live amongst human beings. The next time you carry that your 2 left leg to complain on this floor, the next time you try it, you will see what I will do to you. So because you live immediately under my apartment, I should be crawling around the house. This woman, I have been patient enough and you've taken me for granted. This is just a warning for you. Madam Mrs. Lewis, you have to be very careful. This is the last warning for you. Mrs. Lewis met a rich man as a young widow. She had 4 kids for her late husband before she met this rich man, which she bears his name till date. It was said that she was the apple of Mr. Lewis's eyes, and Mr. Lewis was a very, very wealthy man. Mrs. Lewis was working as a teacher back then. After Mrs. Lewis met this rich man, she absconded from her government teaching job without notice, forcing the government to terminate her appointment. Mrs. Lewis was carried away by wealth and comfort. Mr. Lewis spoiled her silly. Mrs. Lewis was a mean stepmother to her husband's grown-up kids, and years passed and Mr. Lewis passed on. Mrs. Lewis connived with a lawyer, claiming Mr. Lewis willed 3 of his estate to her. Mr. Lewis' kids found out and chased her away with a gun, left her with nothing. It was said that she escaped through the window on this day. Her only saving grace till date is the fact that she was wise with her savings, but she got no inheritance from her late husband. Nothing, they say, is hidden under the sun. Mrs. Lewis is surprised that people already know about her story in her new neighborhood. Still, that didn't make her calm down. She was still troublesome as ever. Every day is new trouble for Mrs. Lewis. Mrs. Lewis serves trouble around as if it is food, and it was the turn of Grandma Peaceful on this day. Grandma Peaceful lives with her teenage son, Shola, who makes beautiful handmade shoes. Since Mrs. Lewis moved in, she has been making rude comments regarding Grandma Peaceful's grandson. On this day, she came down screaming that Shola's filing machine is affecting her, that she can't sleep. This woman, carry your wahala away from here. I have no words for you, Mrs. Lewis. And Mrs. Lewis replied,
I'm not even here to exchange words with you. Tell your grandson the filing machine is too noisy. I will break it one day.
Try it, and you will see the other side of me, Mrs. Lewis. I dare you to try it. It was on a sunny afternoon, and Mrs. Taiwo just got back from work with her 3 sons on this day. Her first son, who is 6 years old, named Amin. Her second son, who is 3 years old, named Habib. And her third boy, who is a 4-month-old baby, whose name is Ahmad. She was carrying her baby and a few groceries. She got from the supermarket on their way. They were at the stairs close to Mrs. Levy's apartment when Habib started crying and asking his mom to carry him.
Habib, I can't carry you. My hands are full. How do you expect me to carry you?
Mrs. Lewis, talking from her apartment, saying,
You people are too noisy in this building. Always shouting and crying like an illiterate. Better train your kids properly. They lack manners.
Mrs. Taiwo walked away and ignored her, acting as if she wasn't even referring to her. At this point, it became obvious that Mrs. Lewis came with the intention to cause trouble. On this day, she came up to Mrs. Taiwo's apartment, saying,
Why are your kids always running up and down, slamming the door? You need to teach your kids manners. Stop disturbing other people's peace. What is all this?
If there is anyone after anyone's peace here, it is you. It is you, Mrs. Lewis. The other day you called me an illiterate. The only illiterate here is you. Because if you are as educated as you prove to be, then you will know that kids will always be kids. I am an educationist. I know a lot about child psychology, and I know a lot about kids' behavior. Things you complain about my kids are very normal for every active growing child. You claim to be an ex-teacher, and yet you know nothing about children. I pity the kids you ever taught, because you lack sympathy, and you are very cruel and very mean. You are the illiterate here, because you need to give yourself peace for your blood pressure medicine to work. Always complaining about high pressure up and down, yet causing trouble and screaming and not I'm just tired. You keep screaming every now and then. If you sleep from now till tomorrow, if you don't change your ways, your BP will keep spiking. And for the records, I am a special education teacher. I have my master's already. In fact, my PhD is in view. It will never come from you. It should never come from your mouth, especially you, that I am an illiterate. Because you are the illiterate here, Mrs. Lewis. And have a good day.
And Mrs. Taiwo slammed the door. Everyone kept avoiding Mrs. Lewis and her trouble, but still she kept on picking on everyone. No children in the neighborhood dare move close to her car. Women in the neighborhood would scream.
E be like say you no know say na Mrs. Lewis car you dey touch. You won't hear your generational history today. Abi?
The community grew tired of Mrs. Lewis' constant complaints. However, fate intervened. Thieves attempted to steal her car, but thanks to Daddy Jolloff's swift action, they were caught. Shaking Mrs. Lewis, she had to apologize.
I've been mean and a bad neighbor. Please forgive me.
I beg ye. All this na fake apology. Tomorrow, na she go still use her screaming to wake us up. Na she go wake us like say she be alarm. As usual. I'm even surprised you're apologizing to we common illiterates. Hey, I thought you always say that you don't need any neighbor. Hey, now wow.
And Daddy Jolloff said,
let's learn to forgive.
Her apology marked a turning point, but the residents remained cautious, wondering if a change of heart would last. The end. I hope you learned valuable lessons from this story, and I would love you to like and subscribe if you love what you just listened to. And I'll see you in another video. Bye and remain blessed.